Kuvav, Masechta Shabbos, 106. Echad v'bechabur shemeis, tedu kol hachabura kula, tida kol hachabura kula. Somebody from a group who passes away, the whole chabura should worry. Amri la the meis gadol, v'amri la the meis gadol. Some say it's the oldest person, and some say it's the youngest person. Like the mazel of a group or the mazel of a bunch of brothers, sort of are all in the same group. Then we said in the Mishnah that if you tear and you destroy something, it's butter, because it's got to be a constructive act, not a destructive act. Tani Rav Avo Kamed Rav Yochanan, Kol HaMekatlim Turin, Chutz Mechoyvel U'Mavir. There are two types of acts that even though destruction occurs, there's still a chiyuv on Shabbos. If you wound somebody, or if you burn somebody. If you burn something. So they're destructive, but l'chora, there's still a chiyuv. For example, we learn if you injure somebody on Shabbos, you're potter, because you're going to be chayiv for Shabbos, and there's a principle potter to pay damages, and there's a principle called kam le midrabimine. If you commit an act where there's two punishments, one a monetary punishment, one a physical punishment, like malchus or misa, you're potter from tashlumim. Now, why would you have to be potter from tashlumim if chovel, which is a destructive act, wouldn't make you chayiv in the first place? Shows you that chavala, even though it's a destructive act, there's a chiyuv anyways. The same thing, we have a Gemara in Baba Kama. If you burn your neighbor's field, you're potter from pain, because you're chayiv skila for the act that you did on Shabbos. So if there be a tour, you wouldn't have to invoke kam le midrabimine. Must be that there's a chiyuv for these two acts of chavala and mavir. Omer lei. So in response to Rav Avo, Rav Yochanan says, "Puk tani levro, take, go out of the base bedroom." Choyvel u'mavir ain't a mishnah. This is not correct. The imtim tzalem mishnah. Now, if you're going to tell me it's correct, choyvel is you're only going to be chayiv if there was some aspect of a constructive act where you wounded somebody because you wanted their blood, because you wanted to feed the blood to your dog. So it's not a wanton destructive act. It was a destructive act that led to a positive thing in a sense, because you wanted to feed your dog blood. Or mavir b'tzarch le'efro. You needed ashes. So you went ahead and burned something. So it's not just a wanton kilkul, it's a kilkul that led to something that you needed. It's not kol ha'mekatlim p'turim. What about our Mishnah that said any kilkul is potter? So we had choyvel u'mavir, not potter. So the Gemara says this comes down to machloikas tanoim, masnis and Rabbi Yehuda. Our Mishnah, which said that your potter is Rabbi Yehuda. Or excuse me, the Mishnah said where your chayiv would be Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda will hold that as long as there's some constructive act accomplished, because like he holds malacha she'ein tzrich legufa as chayiv, he will hold that there's a chiyuv. Baraisa that said there's a ptur is Rab Shimon, who holds that we don't care that there's a positive sort of process that got led to, since it's a destructive act, there's always going to be a ptur. Now, where did Rab Shimon get this? My time, Rab Shimon. It says Bayom Hashmini Yimol Basar or Lasso. So there's a pasuk that says that on Shabbos you're allowed to do Mila. Now, Mila l'chora is a destructive act. Yes, it leads to a positive thing in that the person is now not an orel. But Reb Shimon doesn't care. He says as long as it's destructive, no matter if even if there is a positive aspect, there's always a ptur. Now, so that's where Reb Shimon says a regular choivel is going to be chayiv on Shabbos. Now, a bas kohen who commits adultery, so we kill her through making her swallow molten lead. And you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. So there's a special, so shmami no, mavi ba'al chayiv. Normal burning would be chayiv, according to Reb Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda says hasametakinu. There's an aspect of tikkun both by mila and by strafe of the bas kohen. To Ravashi, on Ravashi malu letakin mila malu letakin kli. That just like mila leads to a person not being an orel, it's like fixing a kli. It's a positive aspect. Malu levashel psila malu levashel samoni. In the Mishkan, they also burned things to make the dye for dyeing the curtains. So that's why by those two special aspects, the Torah had to very carefully tell us the din. Then the Mishnah said, Shira Malabin Rav Yosef Machli Kaful. Remember, the distance between your finger and your third finger, double. Rav Chebarami Machli Pashut, he said you don't need to double it, it's just that distance between your index finger and your third finger. Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Hatzatzi per Lamigdal, that in order to be chayiv for hunting, you have to chase the bird into a closet in your house. The fact that he's in your house is not enough to trap him. If you chase him into your closet and you close the closet, then you'd be chayiv for hunting. But a deer, tzvi, is enough labayas. A deer runs into your house, you close the door, that's already considered that he's trapped. The Chachamim oimrim tzipor lamigdal. The Chachamim agree about a bird, but tzvi lagina v'lachatzer v'labibrin chayim. You don't need to chase a deer into a house, even in your backyard or a courtyard. It'd be enough to be chayiv. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel Omer lo kol habibrin shavin. Not all the bibrin is like a large corral, right?
Enclosures.
They're not all the same. Zak klal. What's the principle? Mechusert say the potter. If it's still hard to grab the animal, I'm potter. So according to this principle, in your house, l'chura, it's easy to grab it. In a corral, he can still run away from you. The same thing with a bird. If he's in your house, it's still not that easy to get him. In a closet, it's easier. If you don't have to do much else in that environment, so then that's when you'd be chai. You may not, let's say you have let's say there's a corral, or let's say you have a pond, and it's a defined pond. You still may not sort of gather fish from that pond on Yontif. Because they're muktzah. And you can't be matriach for something that's muktzah. They're not considered nitzid v'oimed because they can swim away even though they're in the pond. So that you haven't trapped them. If you took them out, but if you had a bird or a domesticated animal in a confined area, that's considered that you've tzad that you can take them on Yontif, because since they were there already from before Yontif, they're already considered trapped. And it's like going into your refrigerator. And therefore, they're not muktzah. The nice of them is only so you could feed them. Corrals or areas for chayas, oifis, and dogim. In all cases, ain't sadim and beyontif. They're considered not trapped, so you're not allowed to do it on yontif, because otherwise you'd be over for tzad. And they're muktzah, they nice of them is oifis. So kasha chaya chaya, kasha oifis oifis. We have a stira from our Mishnah to the Baraisa. So bishva chaya chaya like kasha, ha Rabbi Yehuda, ha Rabbana. Because remember, Rabbi Yehuda said that you're not chaya for hunting a deer unless you trapped him in your house. This is not in your house, it's in your corral. And the Rabbanon said, no, corral is enough of its seder. And oifas kasha. We still have a stira regarding birds. Because habibir makura, habibir sheina makura has to do with whether this was a roofed corral, or like an aviary that has a roof, where the bird would be considered trapped, or if it was not roofed. But that doesn't make sense, because we already said in our Mishnah about bias is makurahu ubein rabbi ubein rabbanon sipur lemigdol in labayas lo. They did not consider just chasing the bird into your house to be hunting it. You have to chase it into a closet. So we're talking about like a regular wild bird, where in our Mishnah, a wild bird, like all of us have had a bird fly into our house. You still trap it, like one of the, like a sparrow or something, the regular bird that flies around here. If they're in your house, you still can't trap it easily. So because a seaport drawer does not accept domination easily. So our Mishnah is talking about a seaport drawer, but other seaport, like an ostrich or a flamingo or so, if you chase them into your house, that's it. They're very docile at that point. The Tana Rabbi Shmuel, Lama Nikra Shmot seaport drawer. Why is that kind of bird called seaport drawer? Nay, Shadarba Bayis Kivasad. It acts the same way in a house as it does in a field, which means it doesn't accept domination. Oh, Hashda the Osis Lahachi. Now you came up with that pshat. Chaya chaya nami loy kasha. The fact that we had a steer between the Mishnah and the Bryce is also not a problem, because Habib Biber Gadol, where it would not be considered trapping him, Habib Biber Kotnim, where he's considered trapped. What's the criteria for Biber Gadol versus Biber Kotnim? On Ravashi, Kol Hechid Deroit Basrei. If you can grab him in one lunge, if you can go after him and in one lunge get him, that's considered a biber cut. Anything else is biber gadol. Or inami, if the shadow of one wall falls on the other wall, that's considered a small area. Anything else is a biber gadol. Or inami, if there's not a lot of corners, it's considered biber cotton, the idich biber gadol, because corners is something that an animal can run into and avoid being trapped. Is this mechusar tzeda poter, ena mechusar tzeda chai, like we said in the Mishnah. By giving me the halacha in the name of Rabbi Gamliel, are you telling me that there's somebody who argues with him? Now, what do we need to know whether somebody argues with him? We know what the halacha is. Gemara is more today. What is Gemara just singing a song? We need to know if you have to, just by stating this, who the halacha is also important. Otherwise, you're just being chayzer on halacha. We know we have to investigate if there's a machlokes, who the machlokes is. Torabo. Hatzad tzvi suma. If there's a blind deer and you trapped him in your house, v'yoshan, or a sleeping deer, it's also chayiv. But if he's chiger, zoken, v'chola, if the deer is lame, old, or sick, and you trapped him in your house, you're potter. Because ben kach, he couldn't get away, so you didn't add anything by trapping him in your house. Now the Gemara doesn't understand. Why are you considered chayiv for trapping a blind deer or a sleeping deer? Hani avidi l'ribui. The blind and the sleeping one, listen, when they feel that you're going to touch them and trap them, they're still going to try to run away. And they might have the capability of running away. So that's why it's considered that you trapped them. Hani, the lame, the sick, the old, they can't get away anyways. So you haven't added anything. Lo avidi l'ribui. Tanya, the Brisa says, choyle chayiv. If the deer is sick and you trapped him, he is chayiv. Rav Shid like kasha, haba choyle machmas ishta. If it's got a fever, he's potter. But b'choyle machmas uftzana, if he's just tired, so he'd be chayiv, because I guess then they would still run away. No, I think the opposite. I think that the fever, he will still run away. But if he's tired, he can't move. So then he would be potter. Torabon. Hatzad chagavim. Hunting grasshoppers. Gizin, sroin, viatushin, or mosquitoes, things like that. According to Meir, you're chayiv. The Chachamim call shebemino nitzor chayiv. People don't normally trap go hunting for grasshoppers or for these things. So if their species are normally something that are trapped and hunted, you're chayiv. Kol she'en b'mino nitzor potter. So these, according to Chachamim, those things you would be potter for. However, Tanya Idech, there's another brisa. Hatzod chagavim b'shas hatal. If there's a lot of dew on the ground and you trapped grasshoppers, you're potter. Because it's very easy, I guess, to trap them then. B'shas sharav, if it's very hot, chay. I guess then it's hard. And if they're coming in, like a locust swarm, like when locusts come, then you're potter. Because again, it's very easy to trap them. Now, this statement of Elazar ben Mavoy, Aresha koi or Sefer koi? What is this statement going on? The Resha part of the Sefer. Toshma, Hatzad chagav b'shas hatal potter, because we said they're easy to trap. B'shas hasharav chayiv. Elazar ben Mavoy, I feel b'shas hasharav. It depends. Even if it's in the summer, you still potter. So you see, his statement was made on the Sefer, not on the Resha. Mishnah. Tzvi shenichnas labayis. A deer walked into your house. V'nol echad b'fanav. Somebody closed the door on the deer. He's chayiv because he trapped him. He can't get out. No'alu shnayim. Two people closed the door together. P'turim. Because like we learned that two people that do a malacha that they each could do by themselves. Remember we learned previously that if you do a malacha with two people, but one of them couldn't do it on his own, then there would be a chiyuv. But here they both could do it. They both did it together. So you're potter. Lo yochol echad linol v'nol lo shnayim. Right? If one person could not have closed the door, it's a heavy door, and they needed two, then chayovin. We said the one who could do it on his own. Rab Shimon pointed, because Rab Shimon learned from a pasuk that any time that there isn't one person doing a malacha, you'd be. We don't care whether you could do it on your own, not do it on your own. That was Rab Shimon's sheet, which we've had before as well. On Rav Shmuel, Hatzad Ariba Shabbos. You think you're trapping a lion? You actually got to put him into his cage that can hold a lion. But you think if you trapped a lion into your house, you haven't trapped him because he can still get away. Mishnah. So there's a deer that walked into your house, and a person sits in the door space, but he doesn't fill the door space. And a second person comes, Yoshev Hasheni Umilu, Hasheni Chayit, because he's the one who ended up closing it. And therefore he ended up trapping. Now, let's say Ruvain, Yoshev Arishal HaPesach Milo, comes and sits in the door and fills it. Ubo Hasheni v'Yosef B'tzido. Second person comes and sits parallel to him, also filling it, but let's say a little bit towards the outside. And even though now, let's say the first guy, Reuven, who sat there, got up and walks away, he's the one who trapped him in the first place. So Arishon Chayav Hasheni Potter, even though the Sheni is still sitting there and blocking the exit of the deer, but he's not the one who initially trapped it. So it's not, the chiyuv doesn't devolve on him, because at the time when the second guy sat down, the first guy had already trapped it. It was already trapped. He didn't add anything when he sat down. A person closes his door with a kavana because he wants to make sure thieves don't get in. He didn't know that there was a deer in there, but there was. So that's the same. So even though the second person added to the shmira, he's not the one who did the shmira initially. It was the first guy who did the shmira. And the Gemara will analyze this last part very carefully. Okay, so tomorrow night, 9:15.